If anything happens to me, open the box before Derek finds it. Those were the words Hannah Brooks had recorded 3 weeks before anyone realized her perfect life was built on secrets. At the time, nobody heard the message. Nobody knew it existed. And nobody imagined that a single sentence hidden inside a scheduled file would become the first crack in a millionaire's carefully constructed world. Beep, beep, beep. The steady sound echoed through the intensive care unit just after midnight. Machines glowed softly beneath dim lights. Nurses moved quietly through the hallway. Outside the large window, Seattle shimmered beneath cold rain and distant traffic. Hannah lay motionless beneath white hospital blankets. Her long blonde hair rested against the pillow. One hand remained visible beside the bed. A hospital bracelet wrapped around her wrist. Everything about the room felt still except for the rhythmic sound of the monitor. A doctor reviewed a chart and lowered his voice. The baby is still fighting. The sentence lingered in the air. Hope mixed with uncertainty. Fear mixed with faith. Downstairs, television cameras crowded beneath the hospital entrance canopy. Reporters stood beneath umbrellas. Headlines spread across social media. Millions of people followed the story of Derek Sinclair, the wealthy technology entrepreneur whose pregnant wife had suffered what he described as a tragic accident. His statement appeared on every major news site before sunrise. Standing before cameras only hours earlier, Derek looked exhausted, concerned, heartbroken. "My family asks for privacy during this difficult time," he had said. Most people believed him immediately. Why would they not? Derek Sinclair donated to children's charities. He funded medical research. Business magazines called him a visionary. Together, Derek and Hannah appeared to have everything: money, success, influence, the kind of life people dreamed about. Yet the most dangerous stories often begin behind closed doors. 40 floors above the city, an arriving flight touched down. 2 men stepped through the airport terminal carrying small bags and heavy expressions. Cole Brooks had not spoken much since receiving the call. Years of military service had taught him how to remain calm during crisis. Tonight felt different. Beside him, his younger brother Tyler stared out the window during the drive to the hospital. Neither man wanted to imagine what they might find. Neither man was prepared for it. An hour later, they entered the intensive care unit. The smell of disinfectant filled the hallway. Nurses glanced up as they passed. Cole stopped outside Hannah's room. Through the glass, he saw his little sister surrounded by machines and silence. Tyler lowered his head. For several seconds, nobody moved. Finally, Cole opened the door. The monitor continued its steady rhythm. Hannah did not. Tyler stepped closer to the bed. "Hey, kiddo," he whispered. No response came. Cole looked around the room. Something felt wrong. Not emotionally wrong. Logically wrong. Hannah was organized. Careful. Thoughtful. She planned everything. Family vacations. Birthday parties. Baby names. She never left loose ends behind. Yet according to the public story, everything had changed in a single evening. Cole did not believe that. Deep inside, neither did Tyler. Then a nurse approached carrying a small plastic bag. "These were her personal belongings," she said gently. Inside sat a phone, a wallet, and a small brass key attached to a faded blue ribbon. Tyler frowned immediately. "What is that?" The nurse shook her head. "We do not know." Cole picked up the key. Tiny numbers were engraved along the side. His expression hardened. Because tucked beneath the ribbon was a handwritten label in Hannah's unmistakable handwriting. "For words. For my brothers only. For my brothers only." The words seemed to freeze the air inside the hospital room. Tyler took the key from Cole and turned it beneath the fluorescent light. It looked ordinary at first glance. Brass. Slightly worn. A small series of numbers engraved near the base. Yet nothing about Hannah was ordinary. She was the type of person who labeled moving boxes, color-coded calendars, and left detailed instructions for everything from holiday dinners to emergency contacts. If she had attached a message to this key, she wanted it found. More importantly, she wanted it found by them. Cole slipped the key into his jacket pocket and looked back at his sister. The monitor continued its steady rhythm. Beep, beep, beep. The sound seemed louder now, almost as if time itself were counting down. Tyler sat beside Hannah's bed and noticed her phone lying inside the property bag. "Have you looked through it yet?" he asked quietly. Cole shook his head. "Not yet." 20 minutes later, they sat inside a small family consultation room down the hall. Rain tapped softly against the windows overlooking the city. Tyler powered on the phone. To his surprise, it did not require a password. Hannah had never left her devices unsecured. That fact alone felt strange. The home screen appeared instantly. Photos, messages, calendar reminders. Everything looked normal. Too normal. Tyler opened her email. Hundreds of messages filled the screen. Doctor appointments, baby registry confirmations, conversations with friends. Then something unusual caught his attention. At the top of the inbox said a scheduled email. It had not been sent yet. Delivery time, 8 a.m. tomorrow morning. Subject line, if you are reading this, something happened to me. Both brothers stared at the screen. Neither spoke. Finally, Cole leaned forward. Open it. Tyler clicked. The draft loaded immediately. His pulse quickened as he read the first sentence. Dear Cole and Tyler, if this message reaches you, then my worst fear became reality. The room fell silent. Tyler continued reading. I know this sounds dramatic, but I need you to trust me. Over the last several months, I discovered things I cannot explain publicly. I wanted to believe I was wrong. I wanted to believe I was imagining connections that were not really there. But every answer led to another question. Every question led to another secret. Cole exchanged a glance with his brother. This was not the voice of someone confused. This was Hannah at her most organized, most deliberate. The email continued. You will find a key among my belongings. Use it. It opens something important. Do not tell anyone about it. Especially not Derek. Tyler stopped reading. The name hung heavily in the room. She specifically mentioned him. Cole nodded slowly, which means she expected him to find out eventually. Tyler scrolled farther. There was more. Much more. The email described hidden documents, private notes, and a backup plan Hannah had apparently spent weeks creating. Yet before they could continue, a notification suddenly appeared across the top of the screen. Calendar reminder. Tonight, 9 p.m. Storage facility appointment. Unit 317. Tyler frowned. Storage facility? Cole immediately sat forward. Where? Tyler tapped the reminder. An address appeared on the waterfront near the shipping district. Attached beneath the address was a short note written by Hannah herself. Only one sentence. If I cannot explain everything in person, start here. Neither brother spoke for several seconds. Outside, thunder rolled softly across the city. Inside, the mystery surrounding Hannah's life seemed to grow larger with every passing minute. Then Cole stood. His decision was already made. He looked once toward the ICU room at the end of the hallway, and then back toward the phone. Whatever she was trying to tell us, he said quietly. It starts at Unit 317. Unit 317 sat at the far end of the waterfront storage complex where the city lights faded into rows of shipping containers and dark pavement. By the time Cole and Tyler arrived, rain was falling harder. Wind pushed across Elliott Bay and rattled the chain-link fences surrounding the property. The facility looked almost deserted. A single security light flickered near the entrance office. Everything else seemed swallowed by darkness and silence. Cole parked near the gate and checked the time. 8:47. 13 minutes before the appointment Hannah had placed in her calendar. Neither brother spoke as they walked toward the office. The brass key remained in Cole's pocket. Somehow it felt heavier than before. Inside, an older manager sat behind a desk watching a late-night baseball game. He barely looked up until Cole mentioned Unit 317. The man's expression changed immediately. You knew Hannah Brooks? He asked. Tyler exchanged a glance with his brother. She rented a unit here? The manager nodded slowly. For almost 6 months. 6 months. The number landed hard. Hannah had been preparing something long before anyone realized she was in trouble. We need access, Cole said. The manager studied them carefully. Then his eyes settled on the brass key. She told me someone might come. Both brothers froze. What did she say? Tyler asked. The manager leaned back in his chair. She said if 2 men came carrying that key, I should let them in without asking questions. Silence filled the room. Once again, Hannah seemed to be guiding them from a distance. The manager retrieved a clipboard and pointed toward a narrow lane behind the main building. Last row, Unit 317. 5 minutes later, they stood in front of a gray metal door marked with faded black numbers. Rain dripped from the roof above. Tyler's pulse quickened. You ready? Cole inserted the brass key into the lock. It fit perfectly. A metallic click echoed through the corridor. Slowly, he pulled the door upward. Both brothers stared inside. The unit was not filled with boxes. It was filled with organization. Shelves lined every wall. Plastic containers were carefully labeled. Folders sat arranged by date. A folding table stood in the center beneath a hanging work light. Everything looked exactly like something Hannah would create. Detailed, methodical, intentional. Tyler stepped forward first. On the table sat a silver laptop. Beside it rested a sealed envelope. Across the front, written in Hannah's unmistakable handwriting, were 5 simple words. Open this before anything else. Cole picked up the envelope. His hands felt strangely unsteady. Inside was a handwritten letter. The moment he saw the first line, his stomach tightened. Dear Cole and Tyler, if you were standing here, then I was right to be afraid. Tyler moved closer as Cole continued reading. I know what everyone will say. They will tell you I was stressed. They will tell you I misunderstood things. They will tell you nothing is wrong. Do not believe them until you see the evidence yourself. The brothers exchanged a look. The letter continued. Everything you need is on the laptop. Password, Mom's birthday. Start with the folder labeled Project Lighthouse. Then another sentence appeared beneath it, underlined twice. If Derek tries to stop you, that means you are getting close. Neither brother spoke. The wind outside seemed louder now. Tyler immediately opened the laptop. The password worked. A desktop appeared. Only one folder sat in the center of the screen. Project Lighthouse. He clicked it. Dozens of files appeared instantly. Financial records, screenshots, emails, audio recordings, videos. Hannah had been collecting information for months. Then one file caught Tyler's attention. Video Diary 1. Recorded 73 days earlier. Cole pressed play. Hannah appeared on screen sitting inside what looked like her home office. Her smile was gone. Her eyes looked worried. And the very first thing she said made both brothers stop breathing for a second. If you are watching this, Derek knows I have started asking questions. If you are watching this, Derek knows I have started asking questions. Hannah's face filled the laptop screen. The image quality was not perfect, but her voice was clear. Calm, focused, determined. Cole and Tyler stood silently inside the storage unit as rain tapped against the metal roof overhead. Hannah glanced toward something off camera before continuing. I hope I am being paranoid. I really do. But if you are seeing this, then I need you to understand how all of this started. She took a slow breath. 3 months ago, I found a transaction that did not make sense. Tyler leaned closer. The video timestamp showed it had been recorded 73 days earlier. Hannah continued. At first I thought it was a simple accounting error. Then I found another. And another. She looked tired. Not frightened. Just exhausted by carrying a secret alone. The strange thing was not the money. It was the names attached to the transfers. Cole exchanged a glance with Tyler. Hannah clicked something on her computer inside the video. A spreadsheet appeared. Several company names were highlighted in red. None of these businesses seem real, she explained. Every address leads nowhere. Every phone number is disconnected. Yet millions of dollars passed through them. The recording paused briefly as she reached for a notebook. I wanted to ask Derek directly, but before I could, something happened. Hannah looked straight into the camera. Someone accessed my email. Silence filled the storage unit. Tyler immediately frowned. Hannah continued. At first I thought I had forgotten a password. Then files started disappearing. Her expression hardened. That was when I stopped assuming everything was a coincidence. The video ended suddenly. A new file automatically appeared beneath it. Video Diary 2. Tyler clicked play. Hannah appeared again, this time sitting inside her car overlooking Elliott Bay. The sky behind her was gray and overcast. Today I met someone from Derek's company, she said quietly. She asked me not to use her name. Hannah glanced over her shoulder before continuing. She told me there are people inside the organization who are terrified. Cole folded his arms. Every answer seemed to create 2 new questions. Terrified of what? Tyler muttered. On screen, Hannah answered almost immediately. They think someone is preparing to disappear with evidence. The brothers looked at each other. Hannah continued speaking. I still do not know if Derek is involved or if he is being manipulated by someone close to him. That is the part one cannot figure out. The statement surprised both men. Hannah was not accusing her husband outright. She was investigating possibilities. Looking for facts. Looking for proof. Then the video ended. Tyler clicked through several folders. Hundreds of documents appeared. Notes. Screenshots. Emails. Financial records. Hannah had built an entire investigation. Then something unusual caught Cole's eye. One folder was marked differently than the others. Bright yellow. Labeled Emergency Release. Tyler opened it. Inside sat a single video recorded only 4 days earlier. Hannah appeared exhausted. Her eyes looked red from lack of sleep, yet her voice remained steady. If you are seeing this file, things have moved faster than I expected. She looked directly into the camera. There is someone you need to find. Tyler paused the video. Someone. Cole nodded toward the screen. Keep going. Hannah continued. Her name is Rebecca Lawson. She worked inside Sinclair Technologies for 11 years. She knows things I could never prove alone. Tyler immediately searched the folder. A contact card appeared. Address, phone number, email, everything Hannah wanted them to have. Then Hannah spoke one final sentence before the recording ended. A sentence that instantly changed the direction of their investigation. If Rebecca has disappeared too, then you need to assume somebody already knows about Project Lighthouse. If Rebecca has disappeared too, then you need to assume somebody already knows about Project Lighthouse. The video ended, leaving only the faint reflection of the laptop screen on Cole's face. For several seconds, neither brother moved. Rain continued striking the roof above them. The sound seemed louder now, more urgent. Tyler stared at the contact card Hannah had left behind. Rebecca Lawson. Address, phone number, email, everything neatly organized, everything prepared in advance. It felt less like a clue and more like a hand reaching through time. Hannah had known they would need help. We should call her, Tyler said. Cole nodded. The phone rang 3 times before going to voicemail. Tyler tried again. Same result. He sent a text message. No reply. Silence. The kind of silence that never felt accidental. Cole looked back at the laptop. Search her address. 20 minutes later, they were driving through a quiet residential neighborhood north of downtown Seattle. The streets were nearly empty. Porch lights glowed through the rain. Rebecca's apartment building stood on a corner overlooking a small park. Nothing looked unusual from the outside. Yet the moment they entered the lobby, Cole sensed something was wrong. The building manager sat behind the front desk reading paperwork. When Tyler mentioned Rebecca Lawson, the man's expression immediately changed. You know her? Tyler asked. The manager hesitated. She moved out. Both brothers frowned. When, 3 days ago, Cole felt a chill run through him. 3 days ago. The same week Hannah ended up in the hospital. Did she leave a forwarding address? The manager shook his head. No. She seemed nervous. Packed everything quickly and left. Tyler exchanged a look with his brother. Another coincidence. Another person disappearing at exactly the wrong moment. Before leaving, Cole showed the manager a photograph of Hannah from the phone. To his surprise, the man recognized her immediately. She came here once. Tyler stepped closer. When hundreds of files filled the folders. Most contained financial data. But buried inside a subfolder labeled Personal Notes was a document Hannah had updated only 2 days before entering the hospital. Tyler opened it. The first line made both brothers stop. I no longer think this is only about money. Cole read further. Hannah described strange events she had experienced over several weeks. Unexplained emails. Anonymous calls that ended when she answered. Meetings that were canceled without explanation. Employees who suddenly stopped speaking to her. Small details by themselves. Together they painted a different picture. Hannah had begun feeling watched. Then they found the final entry. It was time-stamped less than 24 hours before everything changed. If anything happens to me, Rebecca is not the most important witness. There is another person. Tyler scrolled faster. Beneath the sentence was a single name. Samantha Reed, executive assistant to Derek Sinclair. Cole immediately grabbed a notebook. Who is she? Tyler searched the files. Another contact card appeared. Another address. Another phone number. Another carefully prepared breadcrumb left by Hannah. Then a new notification appeared on the laptop screen. Neither brother had touched anything. An automated email had just arrived. The sender field was hidden. The subject line contained only 5 words. Stop looking before it is too late. The storage unit suddenly felt much colder than before. Stop looking before it is too late. The message remained on the laptop screen like a warning light in the darkness. Tyler read it twice. Then a third time. The sender field was blank. No name. No address. Nothing that explained how it had arrived. Cole immediately disconnected the laptop from the internet. The storage unit fell silent except for the distant sound of rain outside. They know someone is reading these files, Tyler said quietly. Cole stared at the screen. Or they want us to think they do. Neither possibility felt comforting. Tyler reopened Hannah's notes and searched for Samantha Reed. Dozens of references appeared. Most were brief mentions attached to meeting schedules, company events, and executive correspondence. Then one entry stood out. Hannah had highlighted it in yellow. Samantha knows more than she realizes. She is loyal, but she is scared. Cole leaned forward. Scared of what? Tyler kept reading. Hannah had written the note only 6 days before entering the hospital. According to her observations, Samantha had repeatedly tried to warn her about something without saying it directly. Missed phone calls, canceled lunches, strange text messages that made no sense at the time. Looking back, Hannah believed Samantha had been trying to communicate indirectly. Then Tyler found another file. It was an audio memo recorded by Hannah during a drive across the city. Her voice filled the storage unit once again. Today Samantha told me something important. She would not say it inside the office. She would not say it on the phone. She only said one sentence before leaving. The recording paused briefly. Then Hannah repeated the sentence. Follow the signatures, not the money. The audio ended. Cole frowned. What does that mean? Tyler opened several financial documents. At first glance, they looked identical to the others. Transfers, accounts, corporate approvals. Then he noticed something unusual. The same electronic signature appeared on dozens of documents. Not Derek's signature. Someone else's. A man named Richard Hale, Chief Financial Officer. Tyler searched the files again. Richard Hale's name appeared everywhere. More often than Derek's. More often than anyone else's. The discovery shifted something in the investigation. For the first time, another major player emerged from the shadows. Hannah had apparently noticed the same pattern weeks earlier. Then Cole's phone vibrated. Both brothers froze. The call came from the hospital. Cole answered immediately. A nurse spoke on the other end. There has been a change. His heart skipped. What kind of change? A pause followed. Your sister showed signs of increased responsiveness. Relief washed across both men. It was not a recovery. Not yet. But it was hope. Real hope. After ending the call, neither brother spoke for several moments. Hannah was still fighting. That fact mattered more than every file inside Project Lighthouse. Then Tyler noticed another folder hidden inside the directory. The title was different from everything else. It contained only 2 words. Final backup. He clicked it. Inside sat a single video file recorded 48 hours before Hannah entered the hospital. The thumbnail showed her sitting alone in a parking garage. Her expression was serious. More serious than in any previous recording. Tyler pressed play. Hannah looked directly into the camera. If you reach this file, then you are getting close to the truth. She took a slow breath. The person you need to find next is not Samantha. It is Richard Hale. She glanced nervously towards something beyond the windshield. Because if I am right, Richard knows exactly what happened to me. Because if I am right, Richard knows exactly what happened to me. The video ended, leaving Cole and Tyler staring at the frozen image of their sister. Neither brother spoke for several seconds. The storage unit felt smaller now. Every clue Hannah had left behind seemed to point toward the same conclusion. She had not been guessing. She had been following a trail. And that trail kept leading back to people inside Sinclair Technologies. Tyler immediately searched the files for Richard Hale. Hundreds of documents appeared. Most contained financial approvals, executive correspondence, and audit summaries. Then one folder caught his attention. Internal review. Unlike the others, it was password protected. Cole looked at the screen. Can you get in? Tyler studied the file. Beneath the password box sat a small note left by Hannah. She had typed only 4 words. Try what he fears. Tyler frowned. What does that even mean? Cole leaned back in his chair. Maybe it is not about a password. Maybe it is about a person. For the next 20 minutes, they reviewed every mention of Richard Hale inside Project Lighthouse. Patterns slowly emerged. Richard appeared at the center of nearly every questionable transaction Hannah had flagged. Yet something else stood out. Several emails showed increasing tension between Richard and Derek. Not cooperation. Conflict. One message from 6 weeks earlier caught Tyler's attention. The sender was Richard. The recipient was Derek. The subject line read urgent. The body contained only one sentence. We cannot keep delaying this forever. Derek's response arrived 2 minutes later. Do not contact me about this again. Cole read the exchange twice. That does not sound like partners. Tyler nodded. It sounds like 2 people arguing. Suddenly, another file notification appeared inside the folder. Neither brother had opened anything new. Yet a document they had not noticed before now appeared at the top of the screen. Recently added. Tyler clicked it immediately. A scanned letter opened. The signature at the bottom belonged to Richard Hale. The date was 3 days before Hannah entered the hospital. Dear Ms. Brooks, if you are reading this, then I have finally decided to do the right thing. Both brothers exchanged a look. Tyler continued reading. I know you suspect Derek Sinclair. I understand why. Many of the records appear to point toward him. That was intentional. Cole sat forward. Every muscle in his body tightened. The letter continued. Someone inside the company has spent years building a false trail. Financial approvals were manipulated. Electronic records were altered. Evidence was redirected. Hannah had highlighted multiple sections in yellow. At the bottom of the page, Richard had written another sentence. If anything happens to me, trust Samantha Reed. She knows where the original files are hidden. Tyler immediately searched for newer records. Nothing. No additional letters. No follow-up messages. Just silence. Then Cole's phone rang. The caller identification displayed an unfamiliar number. He hesitated before answering. Hello. A woman spoke in a hurried whisper. Do not hang up. Cole froze. Tyler immediately looked over. Who is this? The woman lowered her voice even further. My name is Samantha Reed. Both brothers stood at the same time. Samantha continued before either could speak. I know about Hannah. I know about Project Lighthouse. And if you want the truth, you need to leave that storage unit right now. Cole felt his pulse quicken. Why? A long pause followed. Then Samantha gave an answer neither brother expected. Because Richard Hale is missing, and someone is already looking for you. Because Richard Hale is missing, and someone is already looking for you. The line went silent for a moment. Cole tightened his grip on the phone, while Tyler immediately began shutting down the laptop. Every instinct told them Samantha was serious. How do we know we can trust you? Cole asked. Samantha answered without hesitation. You do not. But Hannah trusted me. Another pause followed. She came to me 2 weeks ago carrying a folder and asking questions nobody else was willing to ask. Tyler looked toward the storage unit entrance. The rain outside had finally started to slow, but the uneasy feeling inside him only grew stronger. Where are you? He asked. Samantha hesitated. Not somewhere I can stay much longer. Her voice sounded exhausted. Listen carefully. Richard contacted me 3 days ago. He said he had copies of original company records that proved someone inside Sinclair Technologies had manipulated years of financial data. Cole exchanged a glance with Tyler. Did he say who? No. He was frightened. He kept saying he had made a terrible mistake. Samantha lowered her voice even further. Then he disappeared. The words hung heavily in the air. Another mystery. Another missing piece. What did Hannah discover? Cole asked. Samantha took a slow breath. More than she realized. The answer was not enough. Explain. Samantha continued. Hannah believed she was investigating suspicious transactions. What she actually uncovered was a long-running effort to redirect responsibility onto someone else. Tyler frowned. Someone else meaning Derek? Yes. The answer came immediately. Every questionable approval. Every altered record. Every suspicious transfer. They all pointed toward him. Samantha paused. Too perfectly. The storage unit fell silent. Cole remembered Richard's letter. The false trail. The manipulated records. Suddenly the pieces started fitting together. You think someone wanted Derek blamed? I know they did, Samantha replied. And Hannah started realizing that shortly before everything happened. Tyler looked at the clock on the laptop screen. It was approaching midnight. Then why did Hannah still leave warnings about Derek? Samantha's answer surprised both brothers. Because she did not know whether he was part of the deception or another victim of it. For the first time since Project Lighthouse began, the situation felt far more complicated than revenge or guilt. The deeper they dug, the less certain anything became. Then Samantha said something that changed everything. There is one file Hannah never placed inside Project Lighthouse. Cole's attention sharpened immediately. What file? The final interview. Tyler stopped moving. Interview with who? Samantha exhaled slowly. Richard Hale. Neither brother spoke. They met privately 48 hours before Hannah entered the hospital. She recorded everything. Cole felt his pulse quicken. Where is it? That is why I called. Samantha answered. Richard gave her a secure backup drive. She hid it somewhere nobody would think to look. Tyler stared at the shelves surrounding them. Did she tell you where? No, Samantha sounded frustrated. But she left me a message afterward. Cole stepped closer to the phone. What message? Samantha answered carefully. She said if anything happened, the truth would be waiting where she first learned to keep secrets. Silence followed. Tyler looked confused. Cole did not, because suddenly he remembered something. A place from childhood. A place Hannah loved. A place their family had visited every summer for years. Samantha heard the change in his breathing. You know where that is, do not you? Cole slowly nodded, even though she could not see him. I think I do. Outside the storage unit, a pair of headlights briefly passed along the distant road before disappearing into the night. Inside, Tyler closed the laptop and picked up the brass key. Every clue Hannah left behind had led them here. And now another clue was leading them somewhere else. Somewhere personal. Somewhere only family would understand. Because whatever Hannah had hidden, she had hidden it for one reason. She believed that someday her brothers would come looking for the truth. She believed that someday her brothers would come looking for the truth. By sunrise, Cole and Tyler were already driving east toward a small lakeside town where their family had spent summers growing up. The road wound through forests still covered in morning mist. Neither brother spoke much. Hannah's final clue echoed in both their minds. The place where she first learned to keep secrets. There was only one location that fit. A weathered wooden cabin their grandfather had built decades earlier beside a quiet lake. As children, they had hidden treasures beneath loose floorboards, buried notes inside old tackle boxes, and shared dreams nobody else knew. If Hannah wanted to hide something from the rest of the world, she would hide it there. The cabin looked unchanged when they arrived. The dock still stretched into the water. Wind still moved through the pine trees. Memories seemed to wait around every corner. Cole entered first. Dust floated through beams of sunlight crossing the room. Everything appeared ordinary until Tyler noticed a loose plank beneath the window overlooking the lake. They exchanged a glance. Slowly, he lifted it. Beneath the floor rested a small waterproof container. Inside sat a flash drive and a folded letter. Hannah's handwriting covered the envelope. For my brothers. Cole opened it carefully. The letter began with a sentence that immediately brought tears to Tyler's eyes. Thank you for believing me when I could not explain everything. Hannah wrote that she had finally met Richard Hale 2 days before everything changed. During their conversation, Richard admitted that a group of senior executives had manipulated financial records for years. They had hidden transactions, redirected accountability, and created a false narrative designed to point suspicion toward Derek whenever questions arose. Richard claimed he had participated at first, then tried to expose the scheme after realizing how far it had gone. Most importantly, Hannah wrote that Derek was not the mastermind she originally feared. He had made mistakes. He had ignored warning signs. He had trusted the wrong people. But according to Richard, he had also been manipulated by individuals who depended on his reputation to shield their activities. Cole connected the flash drive to his laptop. The final interview appeared immediately. Richard looked exhausted during the recording, yet his testimony was detailed. Names, dates, documents, emails. Every missing piece finally connected. By the time the interview ended, there was no longer any doubt. The truth Hannah had spent months chasing was real. Over the following weeks, investigators reviewed the evidence. Several executives resigned. Internal records were examined. Hidden activities were exposed. The story spread far beyond Seattle. Headlines changed. Questions received answers. And for the first time since entering the hospital, Hannah's name was associated with courage rather than mystery. Then one afternoon, everything changed again. Cole's phone rang while he sat in the hospital cafeteria. The caller was a doctor. You should come upstairs, she said. Right now. Moments later, he and Tyler rushed into Hannah's room. The monitors still hummed softly. Sunlight streamed through the window. But this time, Hannah's eyes were open. For a second, nobody moved. Then Tyler laughed and cried at the same time. Hannah smiled weakly. You found it, she whispered. Cole nodded. We found all of it. Relief filled the room. Weeks later, Hannah held her healthy baby boy in her arms while sitting beside the same hospital window. Her brothers stood nearby. Outside, the city continued moving forward. Life always did. Some people lost careers. Some lost reputations. Some lost the trust they spent years building. Yet Hannah gained something more valuable than any fortune. She gained the certainty that she had never been alone. As the afternoon sunlight warmed the room, she looked at her son, then at her brothers, and smiled. Because sometimes the greatest form of justice is not revenge. Sometimes it is discovering that the truth survives long enough to find its way home.